Hey, greetings, Baba. How you doing, man?
Doing
How's
good. Is it,
everything?
man, maintaining, chilling, taking it one step at a time.
Yeah, yeah,
Taking
yeah.
it
I
one
know
step
that's
at a
right.
time.
Are you able to see me? Can you see me?
No, I cannot.
Okay, hold on a second, cause I don't know. Got the video in there.
All right, cool. Yeah,
Got
that's
it.
perfect. That's
All
perfect.
right. So hold on. Let me just make sure I got it. Got a good. I'm actually driving
You
right
go.
now,
Okay. Yeah, be safe,
so
man.
I can. Oh yeah, yeah. We good to go over here. Just trying to get a good. Give me one sec.
No problem.
1 second, brother. Wait, I don't know where it went. Can you? Are you still there? Yeah, there we go.
Yeah, I'm here.
There we go. Okay, cool. There we go. All right. How you doing, my guy?
I'm good. I'm good. I'm doing good. Doing good, man. How about yourself?
Oh man, I'm just on the road driving down to Richmond, Virginia. I have to deliver some goods to my daughter who's on campus. She she ended up moving, going back to campus before. Well, she went back down to Richmond before they actually moved back in for the spring semester. So she left all of her stuff at home. So now that I'm back and everything, I'm just taking everything, driving down to give her all her stuff now. So, and it's about an hour and a half
Yeah.
drive between DC and Richmond, sometimes 2 hours depending on the traffic.
Yeah. That's what's up,
Yeah,
man.
so that's what I'm
Doing.
doing.
Yes, sir. Doing your job. Well, yeah,
Yeah.
man. So the whole premise of what we're doing, what I'm doing, is to create dialogue and to encourage the growth, expansion, and evolution of these cultural art forms that we do. Right, as you know, my
Hmm.
name is Tarami Redis, and I run a brand called Drumz Uhuru, and that's the whole purpose. Right, Uhuru is Swahili for freedom, and for
Right.
me, these art forms are definitely healing. They definitely bring a lot of freedom, a lot of joy to the people that practice them and to the people that experience them in the community. So um, one of my elders, your friends, was telling me about you and the good work that you're doing. So I wanted to bring you on here, get more about your experience in the industry with your craft, and gain your insight on some things. So without
Okay.
further ado, could you give an introduction as to who you are, where you're from, and what your background is?
Yeah, so my name is Matt Miller, aka Swamp Guinea, which is the name that I go by, Swamp Guinea. Um, native born Washingtonian from Chocolate City, DC. Um, I got my hands in a lot of things, primarily um, music production, performing, music education. So I am a drummer slash percussionist by passion and by trade. Um, but I do a lot of things centered around music. So I'm also a producer, getting into songwriting, which is kind of new to me, and I'm also a somewhat of an music educator. So what I do is I have my own business where I do workshops and master classes on rhythms of and throughout the diaspora. So as we know, um, the diasporic world of drumming and rhythms is wide. And so what I do is I go in and I
Absolutely,
share.
no doubt.
Yep. And I just go in and I share how we the commonalities of all of the rhythms. How they
Definitely.
differ, how they're very much more similar than differ, and the connections and where they're coming from. It's no mistake that me being born in Chocolate City, DC, that I'm rooted in DC go-go music. So a lot of my work now lately has been master classes on the history and the evolution of go-go music and the rhythmic format and the rhythmic theory, and just sort of breaking that down. So in a nutshell, that's what I do. I also, right here in DC, I work for a very large nonprofit where I run a fatherhood initiative. I run a fatherhood program called District Dads. So my work goes beyond the stage. So I'm even, just
That's what's
active in
up.
the communities. Yeah, just being active in the communities. Just still doing the work. Me being a father myself, I'm very passionate about that. So that aligns with this work that I do, which also aligns with the music that I'm involved in, which pretty much provides, uh, substance and just thought provoking messages. So yeah, man, I said all of that in one breath.
Yeah, man, that's dope. That's dope. That's really
Yeah,
cool. It's dope that the work that you're doing, man, and tying it back to the community efforts because, for me, that's what music is all about at the end of the day. If we're not addressing the needs of
right,
the people and the concerns of the community, what are we really doing?
right.
I want to go back to your point about teaching and educating about the rhythms of the diaspora. What is your approach to that?
Hmm.
It's a very broad spectrum. Are you focused in the Caribbean, Latin America? And then how do you work in the rhythms and history and culture of North America? Because I feel like that's an area that often gets overlooked and under researched.
Yeah, well, I basically tailor it to whatever I'm brought in to. There's a theme. So if someone says, okay, yeah, we want to do a master class on music and rhythms of the Caribbean, or we want to do a master class on rhythms from West Africa, or we want to do something on the wild world of rhythms from North America, then I kind of tailor it, but it's typically based on whatever they want the theme to be, whatever they're asking to be. So these workshops could be in universities, high schools, middle schools, elementary schools. So I'm often having to modify based on the need for that particular setup at that time. But like I said before, um, lately there's been a strong, just a strong request for providing um, you know education on DC go-go music, because it's becoming very popularized, and especially from a lot of the transplants that are moving into this area that are really fascinated by this cultural phenomenon that we have, this very unique art form. And so my approach is easy. So I know that that's the subject, and then let's talk about the history. Let's talk about how we came to uh, these rhythms and this music evolving into what we now know this thing as DC Go-Go. So we just take it from there. Of course, we start in the motherland. We start in West Africa and the rhythms there, and then we kind of come on through the transatlantic slave trade, and we land in the Caribbean, we land in the Americas, and we talk about the political state of what was happening during the time of enslavement and how those things played a role in rhythm, believe it or not. So it's not just you're getting this information on the rhythm and things of that nature, but we're talking about the history. We're touching on anthropology. We're touching on the whole gamut, so we can get to really fully understand how
Right.
this music and how this art form came into being, what it is and what it was.
Yeah, yeah, man, that's fantastic. I was doing just a little bit of research before I called today about, the history of go-go, how it developed, and everything. Um And to my current understanding, please correct me if I'm wrong, with all of the gentrification and things that are going on, the cultural landscape of DC changing, go-go is sort of going through its own metamorphosis. So the work that you're doing seems like it's doing a lot to keep that root alive, to keep that cultural root maintained.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, just like with any other form of music or rhythm, there's gonna be some evolution that takes place. And there's so many different things that factor in the impact and the effect of how it evolves. And so that's exactly what's going on. And yeah, I mean, there was a time when I was a teenager when it was mostly popular because it was, music of and by the streets. And so, everybody's grown up now. And so the kids that we have in our communities today, they're not really as up on it as we were when we were teens, because they seem to be more interested in trap rap and all of that kind of stuff. And so it's important that culturally we continue to do what we do to preserve this unique art form and the culture because of displacement, because of gentrification. Those things are inevitable. You can't really get around that. I mean, you can look at any major metropolis city throughout the U.S. that's predominantly um, Black, African American, people of color, and you see that those communities are also going through uh, displacement and gentrification. However, what I believe, and this is why I'm passionate about what I do, what we're not going to do and what we're not about to do is erase the culture. So,
Absolutely.
so yeah, let's keep the education. Let's keep educating these kids on who we really are and what we really are, so that they will know. And we do have movements in and around the area, and I'm a part of one of them that is providing that sort of education and information to the youth, so that they'll know. And so we're really excited about that. So, yep.
Yeah, man, I think that's super important because, it's real easy for us, you know, any youth, but I think especially African Americans, to just kind of get this idea, this notion that we don't really come from anywhere, that our history just sort of starts with slavery, right? But that's not true. And,
No.
through this medium of music, traditional African folk music, we can show our history, our lineage, our legacy, where it comes from, and how it sort of became what it is and who we are today.
Right.
So,
Right.
mhm,
Right. And how it ties back into the root, right? And so
yes,
that's what I'm saying when I talk about rhythms of the diaspora, like really, really emphasizing how we connect more than differ. Because
mm,
you always have people making these comparisons about, uh, how this thing differs and this and that and this and that. Um, but I'm all about, hey cousin from across the water,
right.
you know, let's show how we have similarities in our subcultures, and so that could be anything from the music to the dance to the food to our vernacular. I mean, the list goes on and on and on and on and on. You know, and
Absolutely.
especially with blacks in America, because we're very diverse. So like you can't look at blacks born in America and think that we're just one way, because we are so diverse. Blacks in America come from a number of ethnic groups that were brought over from West Africa and some parts of Central and some parts of South Africa as far down as
Most
Angola.
definitely. Hmm.
So all of these things kind of shape into kind of how we are, who we are, our mannerisms, how we sing, how we dance, how we talk, and how we respond to music. And so those things are uniquely important.
No doubt, no
Yeah.
doubt. I want to ask about your experience with the Wailers. You're currently a percussionist with Junior Marley and the Wailers. How did that experience come about? What has that experience done for you personally, musically, and professionally as an artist, as a cultural worker?
Yeah, so not Junior Marley, Junior Marvin.
Excuse
Junior,
me.
it's all good. People make that, they say that all the time. But Junior Marvin, as you know, is Bob Marley's lead guitar player who joined the group in 1977 on Valentine's Day. He got two phone calls that day to join two prolific, iconic artists. One, of course, as we know, is Bob Marley. The other one was Stevie Wonder. And Stevie Wonder was going to put Junior on a 10-year retainer, but Junior, being a Jamaican born but raised in the UK, thought that he himself wanted to return to his root, and being a big fan of Bob's, thought that it would be a better suit for him to join the Wailers. And this was during the time when Bob Marley was in exile in England after the assassination attempt on his life in Jamaica, and they were recording the Exodus album. So, so fast forward, I've always been not only a huge fan of Bob Marley and the Wailers music, but just a huge fan of reggae in general. So in addition to go-go, I'm also a reggae musician. I play a variety of different styles of music, but most of my work comes through reggae bands. I've toured many parts of the world with Bamboo Station, which is a reggae band from the Virgin Islands. Um, I'm a drummer in some reggae bands. I'm a percussionist in other reggae bands. So I've always been a fan of the music. I studied the music, and just I had so much of reggae music in my bloodstream. By the time I was in my early to mid 20s, it was like I had absorbed so much of the rhythm that playing it just came natural to me. And so I've always been an admirer of Bob Marley and the Wailers, even post Bob. So when Bob passed away, I was, you know, I was a fan of the Wailers and sort of the recordings that they were putting out, even post Bob. And Junior Marvin being the lead singer, who basically took over for Bob Marley. So when Bob Marley was on his deathbed, Junior went to go visit him in Switzerland. Bob gave Junior the instruction to, hey man, keep it. He gave everybody the instruction to keep it moving, but he gave Junior the assignment to step in front and just be the front man. So by no means that Junior was trying to take Bob's place, because he himself will tell you that he definitely cannot do that. He can't. He's never going to be able to do that. It's not even mathematically possible.
Yeah.
He was just following the orders from his boss, which was to keep it going. So when Bob passed away, they kept it going, and I was a big fan of the group. I've seen them live a few times from afar, and in 2002, just the divine was able to bring myself and Junior together, because my ex-wife was babysitting his youngest daughter. And so
Wow.
she had the job of babysitting his youngest daughter, Niley, who's my goddaughter. And so, yeah, I would see Junior every day. We would talk music, and that's how we became really close, better acquainted, to the point now where I can consider him as my brother. His kids are like nephew and nieces to me. My daughters call him uncle. But I didn't join the group until 2010. 2009, 2010 was when I got the opportunity to start playing with Junior. And at the time, it was just Junior Marvin. It wasn't the legendary Wailers. It was just Junior Marvin. But he was playing a lot of his own originals, and of course, some Bob Marley and the Wailers tunes. And then over the years, it morphed into the legendary Wailers featuring Junior Marvin. Um, and so it's been an exciting feat. I did a tour last year we did a tour. We toured Europe and we toured all over the States. That was very exciting. Um, and yeah, I mean, just being able to travel the globe once again and impact lives and inspire people through this positive music is a dream come true to me. And doing it with the legendary Wailers is an even bigger accomplishment for me, because these are, again, people that I've admired from afar growing up, and now here I am, not only playing in this band but being considered as family. So it's an honor, man. I don't take that for granted. I took a break for about a year, but I just rejoined the group. We had our first performance last week at the Hamilton in DC, rocked the house as usual. And I'm just excited to be back in the swing of things again.
Yeah, man, that's amazing. What a
Yeah,
story. I think one thing that you touched on was just being a fan of the music, right? Like really
yeah,
just enjoying it, absorbing it, listening to it, really, and you letting your spirit sort of like dance to it. I think a
yeah,
lot of times this day and age that can go overlooked, you know. It's easy to get caught up in like what is the lick that they're doing, or like how are they playing, what are they playing, you know, instead of just letting it get into your soul, you know what I'm saying? Just feeling it
yeah, yeah.
and
Freeing
letting
up.
that
Yep.
magic, yeah, letting that magic
Abs-
work.
yeah, I mean, that's, to me, that's the first ingredient, is freeing yourself up so you can feel it first. um and then you can get theoretical after that. But just being able to free yourself up, like I dance salsa, for example. And I dance salsa, not necessarily because I've taken classes. Yeah, I've taken classes, but before I took classes, I was already playing salsa music as a conguero, you know? And so it was really easy for
But
me to dance to the music because I've played it and I feel it. And so when I do go salsa dancing, my friends, they always laugh at me because, I can dance traditional salsa, but I'll throw in some I'll throw in some other stuff too that ain't textbook. You know what I'm
right,
saying?
right, right. Yeah.
Because I'm feeling it and because I can do that. I might be in there pop locking while I'm salsa, doing salsa,
Hey. Yeah, there we go.
because I can do that and I understand rhythm and dance very well. So, man, it's just it's a good feeling to be able to do that. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. That's what's up, man. Rhythm and
yeah.
dance. What would you say is the relationship between those two? Are they really the same thing?
Rhythm and dance is not the same thing, but to me, in my opinion, they're not the same thing, but they accompany one another. They can be the same thing because dancing is rhythmic, and sometimes when you're playing rhythm, um you're emulating dance. But they could be one and the same. Yeah, I could see that concept. But they also both, to me, they're very complementary of one another. They accompany one another, like in West African dance and drumming. The drummer is always watching the dancer because they're doing certain hits based on what the dancer does, and vice versa. And
Right,
that's
right.
just a traditional thing. Um, I know that in West African dance tradition, I know it's been told to me by some of my elders that they actually encourage the drummers. If you want to drum, you also have to be able to, you got to dance too. You know, so yeah, you can drum, but they encourage drummers to also be able to dance as well. You know, I used to watch old pictures and footage of the late great Babatunde Olatunji, who would drum, and then he would take a drum and put it on his head, and then he'd start doing a little dance, uh,
Yo,
right with that. So um, it's just a cool thing when you can be able to do both, and they're very complementary of one another. Absolutely.
yeah, yeah, for sure. For sure.
I do know that, like, some dances actually did come from rhythms. So when you do talk about slavery and you talk about adaptability, right? Let's look at how rhythms in America had to adapt to laws and things like that. So you had laws that they would pass that would forbid the use of making drums or playing drums because enslavers feared
Yep.
they feared the drum as because it was a language that they couldn't speak. And so but they were okay with dancing though. And so what enslaved Africans were clever enough to do was to take those very same rhythms and turn it into dance, you know? So you got things like the ham bone in Juba, you know? Ham bone to me comes directly from Bata playing. You look at the technique
Mm.
behind what a ham bone is. Look at the technique behind how people play and slap ham bone. That ain't nothing but Bata playing, bro. You know, and so
Wow.
it made it with how we had to adapt and we had to adjust. We couldn't play the drums, but we could dance and we could pat our hands on our chests and our legs and do things like that. You know, um,
Yeah. Yeah.
so yeah, like in Brazil with the capoeiristas, they weren't allowed
Yep.
to practice fighting, so they had to turn that into a dance or make it look like it was a dance, and that
Mm-hmm.
was acceptable. So so yeah, the rhythm, once again, the rhythm and the dance, yeah, it kind of can work together in that way. Absolutely.
Yeah, and there's this concept of continuity, it seems like, right? And adaptability.
Hmm.
Even though the form of the thing might change and be different and adapt to the times, the essence of what's happening, what's being communicated, and where it's coming from, where it's going, stays the same throughout continuity, man. Wow.
Exactly. Absolutely. Yeah. And that's a scientific fact, bro. You can't get away from that. Yes.
Man, it's cool stuff. So what has been some of the biggest lessons that you've learned in your career and in your artistry?
Um, I would definitely say as a drummer, percussionist, just the maintenance of one's health, of your own health. That's important. And I was taught this by elders, man, years ago that, you have to maintain proper health in order to be able to sustain as a drummer percussionist, right? And because there are times when I don't practice. I'm just out of I haven't practiced for a while. Like for example, I just got back from Senegal. My first day there, we went to the beach and there was some drummers are all over the beach in Senegal where we were. And they're very friendly and very hospitable people. And they see you're from somewhere else. They just want you to experience, African lifestyle. So they'll literally hand you a drum without even knowing that you're a drummer. They'll just hand you a drum. Hey, play this so you can have So
Wow.
they just happen to hand me a drum, not knowing that I'm a drummer and that I could play. And I get on the drum and I started cutting, and they were like, "Damn!" Like we had no idea. So they started calling me maestro. You know. Um,
Yo.
but anyway, in that one setting, I must have played for like half an hour, 45 minutes straight, no stop. No stop. Bro, I'm so damn out of shape from playing that djembe because I'm not really a djembe player. I can play it. I play at it,
Yeah.
but I don't consider myself a djembe player. You know, I am a conga player or Congo player, and that's my thing, conga. You know, but I can play djembe. But I'm playing this djembe for about half an hour, 45 minutes straight, and bro, I kid you not, when I finished, my arms literally felt like they were about to fall off. You
Wow.
know, and I've had sessions like that with my drum mentor, Abasi Johnson. he would call me over and he'd be like, bring your batas, bring your batas. So I get over there and then he puts me on iya, the big bata. So you
Yep.
playing the big bata. Now your arms have to be stretched out a little wider because that's the biggest drum. So because your arms have to be stretched out a little wider, you have to hold that. And your
Mhm.
muscles in your with your pecs or whatever, man, that starts to just like lock up on you. And so with I say all of that to say, um, you have to stay consistently in playing shape. You want to try to maintain proper health, and that comes through good nutrition, exercise, all of that stuff, so that you could be able to maintain and sustain as a player. And especially, I mean, those of us that get older, you have to start doing things like lifting weights and doing like resistance exercises even more because you want to be able to stay in the game. And so that's what I do. That's one of the biggest things that I learned. Um, is just being able to do that. And another thing is just really being serious and dedicated to knowing as much about the history of your craft. See, there's a lot of folks that play and they play very well. And there's some killers out there too. You know, I mean, brothers that can like run circles around any of us playing. But what to me, what puts you over the top is when you know the history of your craft, when you know the history of your instrument, um, because that really that goes a long way. You want to be able to just have that connection, and knowing
Definitely.
knowing the history gives you that connection. And so, some of the major things that I've learned along the way, and those things are important. And I try to stay true to that. You know,
Absolutely, no doubt, because that informs the direction that we're going.
right.
Yeah. So what would you say are some of your goals and your aspirations as an artist, as a culture worker, as a healer, as a man?
Um, I mean, my goal is to do just that, to continue to heal through through these rhythms, through these transformative rhythms. You know, continue to make good choices. Um, and just continue to be connected to spirit. Um, I really feel like as an artist, a drummer, I feel like I've hit my goals, and so now I have to just make sure that I'm maintaining and keeping that commitment to the divine universe, that I am going to continue to be this vessel of 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 positive vibration through these rhythms. And so, you know, definitely, with a stronger emphasis on education, educating ones and ones about the unique and dynamic worldwide force of this thing that we call rhythm and percussion and music. Um, and so I'm gonna stick to that. Yeah,
Word up, no doubt.
yeah.
Man, Matt Swamp Guinea, I want to thank you so much for your time, for your energy, for your your generosity, your authenticity. Thank you so much for the work that you do and continue to do. How can people learn more about you, get in touch with you, and support the work that you are doing?
Thank you as well, first of all, for having me on your platform, man. I'm honored, bro. Um, and it wasn't by mistake that I met you about a year ago in Houston when I was on tour with the Wailers, man. I want to give a big shout out to my god brother Ernesto for just making this connection possible, bro. So I've been watching you and seeing the work that you've been doing over with you, Uhuru, and I have to say, man, like kudos to you as well for doing the work that you do.
Thank you.
You can definitely find me on Instagram under the name Swamp Guinea, and I'll spell that for you. It's SWAMPGUINEE, Swamp Guinea. You could also find I have a band, go-go band. Well, we're not really go-go per se. We do like a hybrid of go-go. We like to call it Afro go-go roots music. And the name of that group is called Crank Lukongo. So Crank is with a CRANK, and then Lukongo is LUKONGO. And we're on Instagram as well. We also have a website, cranklukongo.com. And you can also find me on Facebook under Matt Swamp Guinea. And you can find us on Facebook under Crank Lukongo as well. We're on YouTube. My music is on pretty much every music platform, Spotify, iTunes, all of those platforms is where you can find Crank Lukongo's music. And stay tuned for more because we definitely have more coming as well.
For sure, for sure. Excited, man. Thank you so much. Enjoy your evening. Be safe on that road.
Yeah, man, I will do. Man, you look like you trimmed your locks, man.
Yeah, I had to, man. I had to. They had to go.
Okay. Yeah, I know that feeling, bro. I had to do that as well. But you still carry that strength, man. So it's how we do. Sometimes you gotta shed. So I see
Yeah.
you, man. You still look good, brother.
Thank you, man. Right back at you, Babu. Be safe,
Yes,
bro.
Mike.
Appreciate you.
All right, bro. Yes, sir.
All right.
Peace. All right.